Hi, I'm Mary Robinson Reynolds, author of Make a Difference with the Power of Acknowledgement program, and I'm here today to visit with you a little bit about the education segment of this program package. My professional career began in education, and it actually started before that. It started when I was in high school, and every day when I would get off the bus in the morning in a rural farming community in Nebraska, all these little children would just run up to me and grab onto me and squeal and want me to attend to them and pay attention to them, which I did. And we would all walk into the school together. It was a K-12 school, and I thought I just had a little bit of magic, is what I thought. And because of that, my parents thought that really what I needed to do after I graduated from high school was to go to college and become a teacher, which I did. So I always thought I had this little bit of magic where kids were concerned, and my first year in teaching, I ended up in a rural school north of the city that I had gone to college in, and I was teaching grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the reason why I was hired for that job was that in my student teaching experience I had demonstrated really good ability of being a good disciplinarian with little first graders and second graders, and so the teacher apparently before me at that school had lost control of the 3, 4, 5, and 6, and there's about 26 students, and so it was a room packed full of kids and 4 different grades levels. So my first year of teaching, I'm out there and I'm doing 4 lesson plans per subject, every subject, doing recess, and I'm doing music, and I'm doing art, and no, I did not have any breaks during the day. I was the one on target the whole way through. Well, this experience really taught me how to be organized as a teacher. That's number one. But number two is I started utilizing, creating from my own need, cooperative learning, team learning, and because I was really struggling as a first year teacher of how to really keep kids engaged and learning while I was off teaching one of the other 3 groups. Well, it was amazing. How I came to that idea was just one night. I was up midnight correcting and doing lesson plans, and I'd get up at 6 the next morning. And around midnight, I said to myself, you know, what did those teachers do in the old days, you know, when they had K through 12? And the idea came to me that kids taught kids. And so this cooperative learning, or this team building started just in that moment for me and was a lifesaver. It also had a lot to do with how well I was able to keep the kids engaged and not have a lot of chaos. So there was a lot of order within, a lot of noise within my classrooms. So I succeeded at that job. Those kids just did really great. Everything was cool. And then I got hired into a real school, a rural town school with my own grade level. I had 6th grade, only 6th grade, and I was just so thrilled to finally advance into the big leagues. And I was hired for that job for my discipline. The class coming in out of 5th grade into the 6th grade class was, they had a label, and they had been called the biggest, baddest 6th grade class since they were in kindergarten. Apparently, they too were not, teachers were unable to control them, which just is mind-baffling to me. But I came in, I accepted the job, and first day of school, they came in. The biggest, baddest 6th grade class. That's right, they did. They came in, and I just approached them as if they were the biggest, best class I'd ever had, and they were stunned. And they said, "Hey, don't you know who we are?" And I said, "Well, should I?" And they said, "Yes, we're the biggest, baddest 6th grade class. Aren't you afraid of us?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I don't believe a word of it. And second of all, this is going to be your best school year ever. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to learn so many things together, and this is going to be your biggest, best year ever." Well, they didn't buy it. They didn't believe it. But little by little, my vision for them won out. And it wasn't done through threatening and kicking kids out or sending them to the office. I didn't do any of that. I just did what I had learned to do in that first rural school experience. And also in my own mind, I relabeled every child who had come in with a very significant label. And of course I tell these stories in my books and in programs, but what's important for you to know today is that I almost got fired from that job because I was doing things different. Because I had so much learning and so much activities. I had independent learning. I let kids go at their own rate in various subject areas. Of course, I was teaching overall subjects, but then I'd let them go at their own rate. I designed projects which got them out of their desk, get them moving around, got them in groups, got them project oriented. And so when they were done with their written assignments, they were active, active, active. And oh yes, we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of laughter. A lot going on in my classroom. And so my 5th year teaching, so you know, I got by with this for 3 years there, and on the 5th year, which was actually my 5th year of teaching, I get a call into the superintendent's office about April, and he says, sits me down and he says, I just need to let you know that if your standard achievement test results don't come in, you know, with marked improvement, that you're out of here, you're fired. And I said, say what? You know, my kids are doing great. And he said, well, we'll see. So I was so thankful in that moment that I did not know this before I had delivered the test, because I probably would have gotten in those, I would have probably tensed up, and I would have had the kids tensed up, and I would have, you know, really done a lot of things differently. And so it was, I was so grateful that I did not know. So sure enough, the test results came in. I gathered them, I looked them over, we were on point, actually above grade level, and then I got curious, and I said to myself, well, I wonder how they did with the 5th grade teacher and the 4th grade teacher. So I went to the files, I went into the office and pulled out the files, and then I built this whole diagram chart, and I compared what had happened between 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade, because those were the teachers that were really complaining about me. Because the kids in their classes, it got back to me that the kids in their classes were saying that they couldn't wait to be in my classroom because we had so much fun. And so this is actually what got me in trouble in the first place. And so sure enough, I did a comparison, and what I found is that with the 4th grade teacher and the 5th grade teacher is that this group of kids had actually lost years of growth. And with me, they had gained 2.5 to 3 years growth overall average throughout the entire classroom under my supervision and my teaching expertise and what I was doing. Because what I was doing back then was different. So that was a huge good thing for me, because I took this whole diagram and I marched into his office and I laid it down in front of him and I pointed and I explained the entire chart, and then I waited and he said, well, I guess I owe you an apology. And you know, I was pretty young at that time and kind of had kind of a chip on my shoulder, and I said, yes, you do. So yeah, I wouldn't do that today, but I was young. And I did, and I felt good, and off I went. So that was when I first started to get an inkling that I was having a success with kids that other educators were not. I had the first written documentation. From there, my husband and I was married to a football coach, and so that has a lot to do with why I have been in so many different kinds of schools around the country. But we moved to another state. It was a high transient state with a lot of mining going on. It was partially, half of it was very spiritually religious and the other half was very transient. And of course the more religious community, their kids did just great. So it was kind of split right down the middle. And so I had a higher level of at-risk kids in my classroom, over 55%. Just kind of right there down the line. And when I say at risk, I mean kids whose parents never show up, aren't there, And there's not a real reason for them to excel because there's no one rooting them on. So everything that happens has to happen in the classroom. And so I was fortunate enough to have 6th grade and 8th grade, and I had them for 3-hour blocks. So I had 6th graders in the morning and 8th grade in the afternoon. And I had some very severely emotionally disabled children in these classrooms mixed in, and we did not in those days have a lot of special ed help or the emotional. We did have an SD counselor, but he wasn't very effective with the SD kids. So I just decided to keep him in my classroom. And this was a point where I had enough experience to realize that I needed to create a community right in my classroom, right there. A safety zone for 3 hours a day. I got them for 3 hours a day, and I was going to make that the best 3 hours of their day. And so I did even more social, emotional work with these kids. Now, I've been doing that all along, but I really had to hunker down once we were in this school, and because the situations were very severe. And I have a movie that I'd like you to just click on after we're done here, click on and see. It's called Lost Cause Kid Movie, and that had to do with that time period when I was there. And it is about an SED boy and how I really had to create a sense of community and keep the kids focused away from behaviors in order to transform behaviors, and how I really commanded that and how I really invited that and engaged them into a new way of experiencing education and their learning experience. And so that movie is at www.lostcausekidmovie.com. So just make sure you go watch it after we're done here. That's www.lostcausekidmovie. So that's the story from that time period. And from there, then, I became a high school guidance counselor, which was my dream job. And I'm working with kids, and I'm working with the faculty and staff, and I'm, parents, and really intense situations, because this state that we're in, it has every imaginable kind of situation. I had, girls that had their babies in the upstairs bathroom. I had, one student who did not make it into my office who murdered his father. The gangs where the boys would beat their girlfriends up with crowbars. I mean, there was just every element. So the reason why I'm telling you this is so that you understand that I've been in a lot of different situations, and what I'm proposing in this program really works. And I also work with a drug-addicted group. So I had a drug support group that I ran at that school with another counselor. So, just trying to give you the lay of the land here. So I've just been in every conceivable kind of situation in an inner city school with a lot of problems, okay? So what I learned out of all of that was that the way that I thought about students and the way that I acknowledged them opened all the doors I needed to teach them. And when I was sitting in my counseling office and I was working with parents and I was working with teachers, I was starting to realize that I had some information that was really pretty easy to deliver. And that there was just one of me, and really I needed to be delivering it to a larger audience. And so that's pretty much how I began the speaking career and this part of the next part of the journey where I started to develop my own business. So what I can tell you about this program that I've developed is that it's a culmination of my life's experience with children of all ages, K through college, having raised 3 children of my own, having blended a family, so I did divorce and I did remarry, and that every element that I built into this program for you is a way to open the lines of communication through the power of acknowledgement. And so it is acknowledgement that opens doors. And I'm not talking about the kind of acknowledgement that is false positive, meaning you're just saying it to be saying it to try to get somebody to do something you want them to do. That's not the point of this program, and it's designed really so that it's not going to happen. I mean, even if it feels kind of fake when you start, as you go through each lesson of this program, you're going to get into another layer of what's going on with your students and yourself for that matter, and another layer and another layer. You know, one of the reasons why I think I hear teachers say very often is that they don't have time to deal with the social emotional issues in the classroom because they're under so much pressure today with all the different problems, of course, but also because they have to achieve certain test results. Their students have to achieve certain test results or they're not going to have a job. And so the reason why I told you the first part of my story was to illustrate to you that these social emotional issues, when dealt with first, open the door for accelerated learning. So what I did in each of these situations, in each of these school situations where I had a very high at-risk population of students in my classroom, is I put the social emotional issues at the front burner, and then as we got those pieces ironed out and they caught on to my vision and my expectation about what was possible and what kind of great year we were going to have together, when they caught on to that and I taught them the skills about how to be with each other, how to ask for what they want, how to not hurt each other, how it's not okay when you do that, and we're not going to do that again, or you get to talk to me again, because this ain't over until it's over. And not giving up on that piece, what it did that I didn't know it was going to do was the learning went off the charts. My 6th and 8th graders in that school, in that third school, they were reading college-level material by the end of the year. They were standing up, giving full reports, full face-on reports. The most scariest thing in the world is have to stand up and deliver a speech. They did that and more in my classrooms. And so it was because of what we did first. It's because, so in this program, I've laid it out. I've laid out the movies that open the heart, that open the mind, that open the psyche, that start a communication, that invites a conversation. I've given you the discussion questions. I've given you the activities. It's all laid out in perfect order. It's pedagogical, meaning that you have to do it from beginning to end. You don't jump around because it's built for a reason, because it's a little opening, a little opening, a little opening with a lot of safety nets built in. Because when you start dealing with social emotional issues, and if this has scared you, if you've never been really good at it, you really kind of rather put your head in sand, then here's an opportunity for you to learn how to gently ease your way in to opening up your mind to a greater understanding of what's behind behavior. You know, these kids will tell you, if you ask them the right question with the right attitudinal energy, they're going to pick up if you're placating them, and if you're turning your nose down at them. They're not going to deal with you. You're not going to have any level of success with any kid that you hold an attitude about, period. So, you know, let's just get that out on the table, because if you have kids that you're not succeeding with, then you got to take a look at what's really happening deep inside of you about what you've really decided is possible and not possible with certain students. So if you really want to see your kids really excel on these tests, and I know that a lot of these kids are coming in and really not even able to speak, let alone read, or from another language. I understand that. But the thing that you got to excite kids about learning, and you do that through your attitude, and you do that through how you engage them, and you engage them with acknowledgement of the greatness inside of them each and every time. Well, what this program does is day after day after day, there's an acknowledgement of the greatness and that the answers do reside inside of you. And we're going to find out what those are today. So, what I'm going to give you with this course, with the UTrain Coach program, is that once you've invested in it, you'll get everything electronically, and you can print it out just like this. I like color, so I do everything. I do everything in color. But it's up to you. You just print it out black and white. So this is what you do next. You click on the link below that has a graphic of this, and it says education. And you click on that, and it'll take you to the next page, which is where you'll purchase it. And on that page, you'll get the full description of everything that I've included in this program. So there's a list of things that you'll get with this. You'll get 6 movies. You'll get PowerPoint presentation slides. This is field tested. I've done this, all over the United States. I've spoken to over 20,000 people, and that was just in 2 years. And of course, it's more than that now. So this is field tested, and so I can basically walk you through every lesson in this program. So I hope to see you on the next page. I hope to see you in training with you together, and I hope to hear back from you the success stories that your school or school district has because of the power of acknowledgement changing the entire culture of your entire school. This lifts children up. This helps teachers understand what's really going on in the minds of children and to learn how to stop making assumptions. When you start acknowledging people on a regular daily basis, it is life transformative. And when kids learn how to do it and succeed at it, it will change their lives. And then their minds will be able to excel and shoot to the moon with the kind of learning that they need to do that's right for them and for the dreams that they're building and that they're headed toward. This program also gives kids a reason for why it's important to be in school. It's important to be in school, to be a part of a greater community, of something greater than yourself. And that's what they'll take away from this, is how to be a part of something greater than yourself and to know that they matter, to know that they make a difference. So thank you, and I hope to see you on the next page. Thank you.